In the hospital corridor, watching Fu Shui hurry over, my gaze was still drawn to her delicate face. But as she passed by my side, she didn't even spare me a glance. I could only smile helplessly. It was unexpected, yet somehow made sense. Returning to the office, I sat down at my workstation and started organizing the medical records I had on hand. Suddenly, applause broke out in the office. Fu Shui walked in, leading a refined-looking man wearing glasses. "Colleagues, let's welcome Dr. Jiang to our department." As she spoke, she looked at the man beside her, her eyes sparkling with vibrant admiration. I clapped mechanically, a dull ache spreading through my heart. No one, upon seeing their own wife standing beside another man with a look of adoration on her face, could remain completely calm. At least I couldn't. Jiang Qingzhou wore a confident smile, nodding to the colleagues in acknowledgement. "Hello, everyone. My name is Jiang Qingzhou. I have a PhD from Harvard Medical School, specializing in cardiac surgery. I'm very happy to become colleagues with you all." Murmurs of amazement rose from the colleagues. "So he's Jiang Qingzhou, Dr. Jiang. So young." I gave a helpless, bitter smile. Indeed, whether in terms of academic qualifications, experience, or ability, Jiang Qingzhou was far superior to homegrown doctors like us who had never studied abroad. From Fu Shui's adoring gaze, it wasn't hard to see that he truly was outstanding. Jiang Qingzhou seemed to quite enjoy being the center of admiration and discussion. His gaze swept casually across the room and landed on me, still clapping. "What a coincidence, Jiang. You work at this hospital too." I forced myself to smile back at him in acknowledgement. Jiang Qingzhou walked over and took hold of my arm. "Old classmate, what a coincidence. I didn't expect the three of us would end up together again." Fu Shui quickly explained to the curious colleagues. The three of us were university classmates. Later, Qingzhou went abroad because of his outstanding grades. This time, he turned down high-paying offers from hospitals overseas and insisted on returning to join our hospital. The department's deputy director, Wang Fong, teased, "Director Fu, surely Dr. Jiang didn't come back specifically for someone, did he?" Fu Shui's face flushed instantly. She didn't explain, just gave a bashful smile. Jiang Qingzhou glanced sideways at Fu Shui, who looked as shy as a young girl, then shook his head. "Don't talk nonsense. We can't have colleagues spreading gossip." Another dull ache pierced my heart. That phrase sounded so familiar. Back when Fu Shui refused to make our relationship public at the hospital, she had said the same thing, afraid of colleagues spreading gossip. So, the phrase originated from Jiang Qingzhou. But we are husband and wife. What gossip could there possibly be to spread? But I loved her, so I chose to compromise. After the introductions, Fu Shui attentively helped Jiang Qingzhou tidy up his desk. Finally, she placed a potted cactus on his desk and asked somewhat nervously, "Qingzhou, after all these years, I wonder if your habits have changed?" Jiang Qingzhou picked up the pot and examined it closely. Then he looked up, smiled at Fu Shui, and said, "How could habits change so easily? Right, Xiao Shui?" Hearing him say this, Fu Shui blushed slightly. She gave him a gentle smile before turning to leave. Witnessing their intimate interaction, I felt a bitter taste in my mouth, yet there was nothing I could do. After work, I waited in the underground parking lot for Fu Shui to go home together, but she didn't show up for a long time. I called her phone. It sounded very lively on the other end. After a moment, the noise subsided. "Jiang, what is it? Where are you?" "Qingzhou returned today. I'm holding a welcome reception for him." I was somewhat taken aback. "Then why didn't you tell me? We're classmates and colleagues. By any measure, I should have been invited." "Jiang, don't you know why I didn't invite you? I was afraid you'd overthink things, afraid you might do something inappropriate. Why can't you just understand?" "Ah, Fu Shui, you think I'm in the way, don't you? Afraid you can't get too close to Jiang Qingzhou if I'm around." Hearing my accusation, Fu Shui's voice suddenly sharpened. "Jiang, can you stop being so disgusting? There's nothing but innocence between Qingzhou and me." I couldn't help but sneer. "Oh, really innocent? Calling him Qingzhou so intimately? Well, have fun. I won't disturb your close interaction anymore." With that, I hung up and drove straight home. I don't deny that I love her, but that doesn't mean I can remain indifferent to her crossing the line. Fu Shui didn't come home until midnight. I was sitting on the sofa, reading, When she came back, I glanced up briefly before returning my gaze to my book. Her face was slightly flushed, her eyes a little unfocused. She had clearly been drinking. As a doctor, she never touched alcohol. She always said it numbed the nerves, which was entirely detrimental for a surgeon. Yet, unexpectedly, to welcome someone's return, she had thrown away her principles and bottom line. Seeing that I wasn't fussing over her as usual, Fu Shui seemed a bit guilty. She came over, sat beside me, and said in a slightly wheedling tone, "Honey, don't be angry. You know how close the three of us are. Throwing a welcome party for him is only natural. Don't be so petty." I put down my book and looked at her, a humorless smile playing on my lips. First, if the three of us are so close, why didn't you invite me? Second, I'm not being petty. Was your behavior today really just out of friendly concern? Also, Fu Shui, you drank. Perhaps my attitude provoked Fu Shui. Her expression changed. "Jiangyi, do you have to be so aggressive?" Hearing her say that, I lost all desire to continue the conversation. Fine, let it be. I stood up and went back to the bedroom. Lying in bed, I heard the sound of running water from the bathroom. A short while later, a soft, warm body embraced me from behind. She kept rubbing her chin against my back. I knew this was her signal, but all I could think was, who had ignited this desire in her? It probably wasn't me. Seeing that I remained motionless, pretending to be asleep, Fu Shui angrily turned over, her back to mine. Perhaps she hadn't expected her usually infallible method of invitation to go unanswered tonight. She felt her pride had taken a blow. Early the next morning, I opened my eyes to find the space beside me empty. I gave a resigned smile, got out of bed, washed up, and drove to the hospital. In the hospital cafeteria, I bought breakfast. As I was carrying my tray looking for a seat, I saw Fu Shui and Jiang Qingzhou sitting opposite each other. I walked over with my tray and casually sat down beside Fu Shui. Perhaps my sudden appearance interrupted the sweet moment between them. A flash of awkwardness crossed Fu Shui's face. Jiang Qingzhou, however, looked at me with keen interest. Seeing the crab roe buns on the table, I couldn't help but chuckle softly. "Qingzhou, I didn't expect your taste hasn't changed after all these years. It's quite something that after so long abroad, you still remember where to find the South City crab roe buns." Jiang Qingzhou shook his head gently. "Jiangyi, you give me too much credit. How would I have time to remember things like that? Xiao Shui bought these for me." Oh, hearing this, my interest was piqued. I looked teasingly at Fu Shui, whose face was full of embarrassment. Well, that must have been quite an effort for Director Fu. Those South City crab roe buns aren't easy to get. I recall a long queue forming there from just after 5 in the morning. Hearing me say this, Jiang Qingzhou's eyes lit up. "Really? Xiao Shui, you're too good to me. I'm quite touched." Fu Shui clearly couldn't stand the awkward atmosphere any longer. Grabbing her bag, she stood up. "Enjoy your meal. I have to." My chuckle interrupted Fu Shui's words. "Slowly won't do. Qingzhou, you need to eat quickly. The crab roe buns won't be good when they get cold." Jiang Qingzhou nodded cooperatively. Yes, it's Shui's kind thought. I can't let it get cold. He phrased that quite artfully. It was hard to tell if he meant the crab roe buns or Fu Shui's feelings. Fu Shui hurried away, her steps flustered. Throughout the day, whenever Fu Shui saw me, she looked like she wanted to say something but hesitated. But either I was busy or she was, so we didn't manage to exchange a single word all day. After work, Fu Shui was waiting early in the parking lot. When I came down, she was standing by my car. "What are you doing?" "Waiting for you to get off work, so we can go home, hubby." I looked at her, somewhat surprised. She had never called me hubby within the hospital ground before. It seemed her so-called principles and persistence were quite flexible. That wasn't my understanding of principles. Seeing I wasn't opening the car door, Fu Shui looked at me, a bit puzzled. I pointed towards her car parked in the corner. "Director Fu, did you forget? You drove here this morning." Fu Shui, who never drove herself, had probably forgotten she drove to the hospital today. Every morning, Fu Shui would nap for a bit in my car. She said it refreshed her and gave her enough enthusiasm to face the workday. But she had driven out early this morning to buy crab roe buns for Jiang Qingzhou, and she seemed perfectly energetic all day today. Seeing her own car, Fu Shui perhaps remembered the morning's events. Looking embarrassed, she walked towards her car. We drove home one after the other. When we reached home, I parked the car in the garage but waited in vain for Fu Shui to pull in. Impatiently, I stepped out of the garage door. Are you going to park or not? If not, I'm locking up. But Fu Shui still didn't react. Her car remained stationary at the main gate. I walked over and knocked on the car window. The window rolled down. Fu Shui was on the phone. After a moment, she hastily hung up. Jiang-yi, Qingzhou's light bulb burned out. His place is pitch black. I have to go over. I looked up at the sky, half reddened by the setting sun. Did they forget to install windows in his house? Fu Shui realized, too. It wasn't completely dark yet. Before she could speak, I continued. We were classmates. We're friends. Why didn't he call me? Why call you a woman to help change a light bulb? What's a grown man like him for? Fu Shui quickly defended Jiang Qingzhou. Qingzhou spent all those years abroad. Maybe he's not good at these things. Her words made me laugh. Fu Shui, are foreign countries that advanced? Have they stopped using electric lights? Now Fu Shui didn't know how to explain. Actually, with many things, if you want to believe them, they seem true. If you're willing to think, they reveal themselves as false. Clearly, Fu Shui preferred believing over thinking. Finally, Fu Shui said, uncertainly, maybe Qingzhou has been so engrossed in medicine all these years, he doesn't know how to handle household chores. Fine, go ahead. You can't persuade someone who doesn't want to be persuaded. I was tired too and didn't want to say any more. Who wants to waste energy, try to wake someone pretending to be asleep? Seeing I agreed, Fu Shui quickly assured me, Hubby, I promise I'll come right back as soon as it's done. I waved her off, closed the garage door, and went inside. Sitting on the sofa, I began to wonder if there was any point in this marriage continuing. Fu Shui and I met in university. Back then, she, Jiang Qingzhou, and I were classmates. A group experiment in anatomy class put the three of us together. Looking at the dry cadaver dripping with formalin, Fu Shui was so scared she couldn't even hold the scalpel steady. Back then, I was engrossed in my studies, completely clueless about matters between men and women. Seeing Fu Shui like this, I impatiently pushed her away. If you're even scared of this, how can you be a clinical doctor? After saying that, I picked up the scalpel and started operating. Jiang Qingzhou was very gentle. He patiently comforted Fu Shui, encouraging her. Only after I finished, and with Jiang Qingzhou's encouragement, did Fu Shui find the courage to make the first cut, overcoming herself. In the following days, the three of us became a regular group. During the second semester of our freshman year, she got together with Jiang Qingzhou. As a teammate and close friend, I had no thoughts other than offering my blessings. Their on-again, off-again relationship lasted until junior year. During that time, they broke up and got back together repeatedly. I heard Jiang Qingzhou mention in the dorm that it was mostly because Fu Shui was too clingy and he was against marriage. Every time they talked about the future, they inevitably argued and ended up unhappy. I didn't care about their relationship, but I was quite interested in Jiang Qingzhou's stance against marriage. Could this guy have some kind of trauma? Later I found out he simply enjoyed the feeling of girls chasing after him. He enjoyed being pursued, admired, and cherished. My assessment of this was perverted. Isn't that just an excuse scumbags make for themselves? But this didn't stop us from being good friends. Anyway, he hadn't messed with my girlfriend, and I didn't have one. I thought it was pretty good for medical students to be single. The stacks of books were taller than myself. Isn't it good enough to treat these books as girlfriends? Actually, most medical students are single. They can barely keep up with their studies. Where would they find time for dating? But Jiang Qingzhou and Fu Shui were very high profile. After all, they were the famous couple in our department. In the second half of junior year, there was one spot available for studying abroad. Based on credits and GPA, this spot should definitely be mine. The school leaders also talked to me, encouraging me to do well in the final exams. I understood the unspoken meaning. I also started studying English hard, preparing to go abroad. But something unexpected happened. Before the final exams, Jiang Qingzhou and Fu Shui started fighting about breaking up again. This time it was serious. No matter how Fu Shui tried to win him back, Jiang Qingzhou was dead set on breaking up. I didn't pay much attention. In over 2 years, it wasn't the first or second time they'd fought about breaking up. As a result, before the last exam, The counselor came running to me in a panic, saying Fu Shui was going to jump off the building, asking me to go talk her down. I looked astonished. Why are you looking for me? The counselor timidly begged me. Aren't you lab partners? And good friends? What she said made me feel a bit awkward. Well, yes, but shouldn't you be looking for Jiang Qingzhou? What use would I be? The counselor pulled me up and started running. I've already called him. He said he'd be right here. I could see the counselor was very anxious. I understood her. If one of the students under her supervision died, she'd lose her job as a counselor. The counselor's name was Bai Ning. She was a recent senior graduate, just 2 years older than me. Because she hadn't pursued a combined bachelor's doctorate program, she had trouble finding a job. So she chose to take the postgraduate entrance exams, studying while working. Seeing as she had always been nice to me, I decided to help her, even though I couldn't do much. When we ran up to the rooftop, Fu Shui was standing right on the edge, arms outstretched, facing the wind. Her white dress and loose long hair fluttered violently in the breeze. Although it was highly inappropriate, at that moment, I thought Fu Shui looked quite beautiful. Seeing me come up, Fu Shui just gave a sad smile. Is Jiang Qingzhou still unwilling to see me? The school leaders also ran up, but Jiang Qingzhou, who had said on the phone he'd be right there, never showed up. I looked at my watch, growing impatient. Amidst Fu Shui's terrified warnings, I strode forward. Don't come any closer. If you come closer, I grabbed Fu Shui in a hug, pulled her back from the edge of the rooftop, and we fell directly onto the ground. Fucking idiot, if you really had the guts to die, you would have jumped already. Posing like that for so long, aren't you tired? I'm tired just watching. After saying that, I sprinted towards the exam hall. But when I got to the exam hall, the stern old professor wouldn't let me in. He said the exam had started half an hour ago, and according to the rules, entry wasn't allowed 15 minutes past the start time. In the end, even the school administration's intervention was useless. Dejected, I sat by the classroom door. Bai Ning sat down next to me, comforting me. It's okay, your grades are good. You'll have no problem with the makeup exam. Are you stupid? Makeup exam scores are capped at 60. My GPA will plummet. How can I possibly study abroad now? I yelled at Bai Ning until she cried, repeatedly apologizing to me. Seeing her pathetic state just made me angry. Impatiently, I sent her away and went straight back to the dorm. A little while later, Jiang Qingzhou came in, humming a tune. I asked angrily, where the fuck were you? Didn't you know your girlfriend was threatening to jump off a building? Jiang Qingzhou chuckled nonchalantly. She didn't jump, did she? How could I possibly give up such an important exam? I narrowed my eyes. Motherfucker, this bastard set me up. That day, Jiang Qingzhou knelt and begged me for mercy, repeatedly calling me dad, before I finally stopped hitting him. The school gave me a demerit on my record. I was puzzled why the punishment was so light. I'd beaten Jiang Qingzhou badly enough to put him in the hospital. How could it just be a demerit? Later I found out that Bai Ning had taken the blame for me over the incident and lost her job. That scheming bastard Jiang Qingzhou took my place and went abroad. During that time, I was incredibly frustrated, both because of my poor judgment of character and because I had dragged Bai Ning into it. After Jiang Qingzhou went abroad, Fu Shui started clinging to me. She kept saying it was her fault I lost the chance to study abroad. She wanted to make it up to me. I always cursed her out with nasty words, but she still wouldn't leave me alone. Every morning, she'd wait outside my dorm with breakfast. Every evening, she'd walk me back. I couldn't chase her away. Finally, I laid it out for her. I told her I couldn't be the guy who takes another man's leftovers, that I wasn't into second-hand goods. Unexpectedly, the next day, Fu Shui found me holding a report, which she excitedly handed to me. I opened it. It was proof of an intact hymen. I looked suspiciously at Fu Shui, then examined the report carefully again. It wasn't forged, nor was it from a reconstruction. Hospitals don't issue reports for reconstructions. Just like that, Fu Shui and I got together. Having never been in a relationship before, I fell head over heels in this first one. People say your first love drains all your capacity for love, and they're absolutely right. Fu Shui was very good to me, and I always wanted to be even better to her. But after a while, I noticed Fu Shui slowly changing. Taking my affection for granted, she became presumptuous and started throwing petty tantrums. Gone was the caution and eagerness to please from when we first got together. Despite this, because I loved her, and that love was enough for me to tolerate her willfulness and occasional unreasonable behavior. At that time, I always thought things would be fine once we got married. Actually, my reason for dating was simple. I was aiming for marriage. I'm a doctor. I didn't have much time for all that romantic drama. After graduation, Fu Shui and I both came to the City Central Hospital for our residency training. After finishing our residency, we both successfully secured positions there. Our families were urging us, so at 29, in our third year of working, we got married. After registering the marriage, Fu Shui said she didn't want a wedding ceremony, claiming it would take too much time and energy. Coincidentally, I felt the same way, so we just invited our families for a meal together, which served as our wedding banquet. After marriage, she didn't revert to her initial gentle self. She always insisted we shouldn't make our relationship public at the hospital, saying it would be detrimental to our work. I disagreed. We weren't the only married couple in the hospital. Why didn't it affect the work of other couples, but somehow it would affect ours? When Fu Shui saw she couldn't convince me, she simply resorted to giving me the cold shoulder. In the end, I was the one who gave in. From then on, I had to listen to her on everything, and I realized just how strong her need for control was. No wonder my mom advised me to think it through carefully when we were getting married. Back then, after meeting Fu Shui's parents once, she earnestly told me, "Son, look at Fu Shui's father and mother. Mom really hopes you'll think this through." Fu Shui's father was a weak, meek man. Her mother, however, was domineering. She ruled the household. At the time, I even joked with my mom, "Impossible. Fu Shui has a PhD. How could she be like her mother? That sort of petty commoner." Turns out, I have to admit, my mom's judgment of people is spot on. There's something she said that I still remember vividly, and it makes perfect sense now. She said that if you can't foresee your future life when getting married, just look at the bride's mother. Now I finally realize, with a shock, that Fu Shui is exactly like her mother. But back then, because I loved her, I kept giving way. And now, it's laughable. She actually said, in front of all her colleagues, that Jiang Qingzhou was the most outstanding one back in university. If it weren't for her, would that spot to study abroad have gone to Jiang Qingzhou? Thinking back on everything, I feel there's no point in continuing things with Fu Shui. Someone as strong-willed as her. If there's a person who represents a regret in her heart, she will definitely try everything to compensate for it. This morning's crab roe buns are the perfect example. Regardless of her motives, I can't be with a woman like this anymore. Even though it hurts, and I hate to let go of all these years together, continuing will only mean getting dragged down deeper. Having figured all this out, I didn't wait up for Fu Shui as I usually would. Instead, I went straight upstairs to bed. Fu Shui didn't come back until around midnight. I heard the bedroom door open, and sensed Fu Shui standing there in the doorway for a long time. But I didn't turn around, my back still towards the door. The sound of water running started in the bathroom. A little while later, the mattress beside me dipped. Fu Shui pressed against my back, holding me tightly. "Honey, I know you're not asleep. Can we talk?" I grunted listlessly. "I don't want you to get the wrong idea. There's really nothing between Jiang Qingzhou and me. I was just looking out for him out of old classmate camaraderie." Seeing she wanted to pursue the topic, I sat bolt upright, deciding to get everything out in the open. "You say there's nothing between you? Huh. You introduced him in front of your department colleagues, saying he was the most outstanding student back in university. Have you forgotten? If he hadn't saved you, would his GPA have been higher than mine? Would he have gotten the spot to study abroad?" Fu Shui's face instantly turned pale. I had never brought up her suicide attempt from all those years ago, knowing how much it had hurt her. I went on, "You, a fucking married woman, throwing a welcome home party for your first love? Are you brain dead? And you say my thoughts are disgusting? I have to wonder, you at 35, looking all old and haggard. You make me sick just looking at you. What's there for me to have disgusting thoughts about?" Now Fu Shui looked utterly wounded, and I felt like I was back in university, focused solely on my studies, undistracted by anything else. Back then, I said whatever I wanted, completely disregarding her feelings. People toss you a compliment. "Director Fu, you're so beautiful." And you actually believe it? You barren hen who can't even lay an egg. What part of you is beautiful? That finally made Fu Shui snap. This was her deepest pain, the one she never wanted mentioned. She suffered from infertility and blamed herself endlessly for it. In the past, I always did my best to console her, but now that the love was gone, those former comforts became daggers aimed straight at her. Tears streaming down her face, Fu Shui got out of bed and went to the guest room. Finally, peace and quiet. Damn it, you make me miserable. You disregard me. Did you think I just let you keep comfortably making me sick? Starting the next day, Fu Shui officially began giving me the silent treatment. Whenever we saw each other, she wouldn't even glance my way, just walking right past me. As if deliberately trying to provoke me, she started accompanying Jiang Qingzhou everywhere, day in and day out. The two even began eating lunch together. Slowly, rumors started circulating in the department that Fu Shui had remained unmarried for so many years because she was waiting for Jiang Qingzhou. Nosy colleagues asked Fu Shui if it was true. She offered no explanation, merely lowering her head shyly, a triumphant glint in her eyes as she glanced at me. I cursed idiot inwardly and ignored it. At home, we lived separate lives. She was often called away by a single phone call from Jiang Qingzhou. I didn't care, and so the Cold War dragged on for a month. Fu Shui started to grow anxious. Previously, she had held complete sway over me, easily manipulating my emotions. But now, it was as if I had broken free from her control, utterly indifferent to her affairs. Finally, one day, a month later, she came home and actually cooked dinner. At the dinner table, she probed tentatively. Jiang Qingzhou mentioned the department gathering next week requires bringing family. He wants me to go with him. Do you think I should? I scoffed aloud. If you consider yourself as family member, then go ahead. It's not like anyone in the department knows about our relationship anyway. Fu Shui gave me a long, hard look. Jiang, if you want to make our relationship public, I can do it at the department gathering next week. I slammed my bowl down then. Are you fucking stupid? Has the affair completely addled your brain? Fu Shui was stunned. I haven't. I don't know if you have or haven't, but in our colleagues' eyes, you and Jiang Qingzhou are a couple. I can tolerate your behavior, but that doesn't mean you can publicly humiliate me like this. You idiot. If you make this public, how will everyone in the department look at me? Pale-faced, Fu Shui put down her bowl and scrambled to explain. Honey, I'm sorry. I didn't think about all that. I'll clarify my relationship with Jiang Qingzhou to everyone in the department tomorrow. I'll draw a clear line with him. I watched her, my expression full of scorn. Her gaze shifted from panic to shock, finally settling on pleading. It was only then that she understood why I had been so indifferent to her actions. I had already decided to divorce her, which was why nothing she did mattered to me anymore. Fu Shui suddenly threw herself down before me, clutching at my pant leg, begging, Honey, I'm begging you, please don't say those two words, please. I just shrugged. Fu Shui scrambled to her feet and bolted out of the house. Hey, what are you running for? I wasn't finished. I'm not listening. I'm not listening. Watching her panicked retreat, I couldn't help but laugh. 35 fucking years old and still acting like some innocent maiden. What the hell was she running from? For the next week, Fu Shui didn't return home. We had no contact at the hospital either. Until the day of the department gathering, when Fu Shui arrived on Jiang Qingzhou's arm. When she saw me, she shot me a provocative glance, raising her eyebrows. Now that's more like it. A 35-year-old woman needs to be realistic. Find someone willing to take her on. Save herself the melodrama after the divorce. Watching the pair accept compliments from colleagues, I nearly burst out laughing. It's always more amusing when idiots pair up. During the meal, they fed each other affectionately, a sight so nauseating I almost threw up. At one point, I excused myself to the restroom. Soon after, an intern doing his residency training in our department entered, supporting Jiang Qingzhou. I was about to leave when I heard my name mentioned, so I ducked into a stall instead. Dr. Jiang, I heard you and Dr. Jiang were classmates, but you two hardly seem to speak. Classmates? Huh, little Lou, your dad and I go way back, so I'm telling you this, but keep it to yourself. Absolutely, absolutely. Hearing this, I discreetly activated the recording function on my phone. I can't hear on my left ear. Jiang, he did this to me. I want to fucking kill him. My heart jumped. Was it really that serious? Huh? What? Back then, to get the spot to study abroad, I set him up. I deliberately dumped Fu Shui. I knew Fu Shui, being so hopelessly devoted, would be devastated over me. I just didn't expect she'd hold out until the last exam before jumping off the building. She almost screwed me over. At that time, Jiang Yi, Fu Shui, and I were good friends. He couldn't possibly stand by and let her die. And just like that, Jiang Yi missed his last exam, so I got the spot to study abroad. Uncle Jiang, you're really something. But this involves Deputy Director Fu too. Were you two a couple back then? Are you rekindling an old flame now? Rekindling an old flame? I'm just deliberately leading her on. Her best friend told me she got married. That's why I came back to reel her in. No way. We never heard she got married. To whom? None other than our great Dr. Jiang, huh? I knew it. I just had to beckon, and she'd come running like a dog. That idiot actually told me to marry her. In her dreams. I pretended to agree, waited for her to divorce Jiang, then I'd dump her immediately. Uncle Jiang, that's not right. Pressing the save button, I cheerfully pushed the door open and walked out. Indeed, it's not right. Looks like I didn't hit you hard enough back then. Why don't you ever learn your lesson? Jiang-yi, what are you doing? Put the toilet plunger down. 5 minutes later, I walked out of the restroom. Intern Xiao Lu glanced at his watch, then looked at Jiang Qingzhou sprawled on the floor. It couldn't be helped. I had ordered him not to come out for 10 minutes, threatening to report him to the hospital immediately and get his residency qualification revoked otherwise. Back in the private room, Fu Shui was basking in the compliments from her department colleagues. I took out the divorce agreement I had prepared and handed it to her. Sign it, and I'll give you a gift. Fu Shui looked at me haughtily, regaining her usual air of superiority. Are you sure? Don't regret it after I sign. Found your next prospect, have you? Feeling bold now, aren't you? Wasn't it just a week ago you were crying, kneeling before me, clinging to my leg and begging? Hearing this, Fu Shui's face turned livid. She picked up the pen and signed without hesitation. The asset division was fair. What's hers is hers. What's mine is mine. Having signed, Fu Shui regained her composure. Where's my gift? This idiot. I almost died laughing. Putting the divorce agreement away, I pulled up a stool and sat down opposite Fu Shui. I took out my phone, placed it on the table, and turned on the speaker. Deputy Director Wang, grab me a handful of melon seeds. Wang Fong was our department's deputy director, a year older than me, unmarried but a decent person. Hearing me, she rolled her eyes but still grabbed a handful of melon seeds for me. Actually, our colleagues were dying of curiosity. They didn't know when Fu Shui and I got married, much less what my gift actually was. From a phone, Jiang Qingzhou's voice emerged. I chuckled, cracking melon seeds while watching Fu Shui's expression. Smugness, shock, fury, indignation, regret. Hey, don't you fucking smash my phone. That's my personal property. I snatched the phone back from Fu Shui's hand and carefully put it in my pocket. The phone itself wasn't worth much, but this recording was priceless. In the future, if Fu Shui ever shamelessly tried to get back together with me, I'd just play it again. 10 minutes later, Jiang Qingzhou walked into the private room, supported by Xiao Lu. As soon as everyone saw him, they recoiled, keeping their distance. Not just because his face was bruised and swollen, but because there was a smear of unwiped shit from the toilet plunger on his cheek. Fu Shui didn't care about that. She stood up, trembling, pointing a finger at Jiang Qingzhou. You beast! I didn't even mind that you're impotent, and you still had the nerve to deceive me. What was happening? This was explosive? Deputy Director Wang, grab me another handful of melon seeds. Deputy Director Wang handed me the melon seeds and grabbed a handful for herself. The two of us sat together, with front row seats to watch the drama unfold. Finally, it all made sense. That whole, liking the feeling of being pursued thing, it was just fucking twisted psychology because he couldn't perform sexually. This dumbass. No wonder he doesn't grow a beard. Turns out he was some kind of eunuch. Watching Fu Shui and Jiang Qingzhou tear into each other as they left the private room. The farce was over. I felt completely uninterested. Back home, I gathered Fu Shui's things and put them straight outside the door. Then I deleted her fingerprint access and changed the password, all in one smooth sequence. In the middle of the night, the knocking, crying, and pleading went on for an hour. Only after a neighbor yelled a couple of things did it fall silent. Early the next morning, I quietly opened the door and saw Fu Shui asleep on the steps, hugging her suitcase. I quietly closed the door, stepped over her, dashed into the garage, and drove off. The sound of the gate opening still woke Fu Shui. She scrambled to her feet and chased after my car. I floored the accelerator and left her far behind. At the hospital, I went about my work as usual. My colleagues looked at me with approval. Yeah, I thought I'd handled it pretty well myself. At 9 in the morning, a bruised and swollen Jiang Qingzhou arrived at the hospital. He acted as if nothing had happened and went about his work, but everyone kept their distance. Even Xiao Lu ignored him. Fu Shui didn't arrive at the hospital until noon, looking deathly pale. After changing her clothes, she came up to me, looking listless. "Hubby, can we talk?" I immediately pulled out my phone. "How about we listen to this first? Refresh your memory before we talk." Fu Shui lowered her head and walked away. After work, my mom called, asking what was going on. I knew Fu Shui must have gone to her. I immediately explained the whole story from beginning to end. My mom asked with a cold laugh, "I told you to think it through carefully back then, didn't I? Too bad your love-struck brain wouldn't listen." I quickly forced an apologetic smile. "Well, we're divorced now, aren't we? Next time I'm looking for someone, I'll definitely listen to your advice." My mom snorted. Better off divorced. We chatted a bit longer, then my mom hung up. That evening, the knocking started again. She must have gotten nowhere with my mom and had come back to plead with me. I put on my headphones, grooving to the music while I cooked. It felt damn good. A week later, seeing I absolutely wouldn't take her back and probably afraid I'd make a bigger scene, she finally agreed to the divorce. Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Fu Shui said with tears in her eyes, "Jiang Yi, believe it or not, I do love you." I spat on the ground. Seeing the cleaning lady glare at me, I quickly rubbed it away with my shoe. Fu Shui ignored my attitude and continued, "Jiang Yi, I wish you." "Shut up." I cut her off. "I don't need your blessings. You'd be better off wishing your first love, White Moonlight, could get it up soon." With that, I turned and walked away. Recently, director Wang Fong has been hitting on me. Oh, right, Fu Shui's former director got removed. He'd been distracted lately and nearly botched his surgery. Luckily, Wang Fong and I managed to salvage it in time. As a result, Wang Fong was officially made director, and I was promoted half a rank to deputy director. Deputy Director Jiang, won't you really consider me? It'd be my first marriage, and I'm still a virgin. I heard you even made Fu Shui get proof before you agreed to be with her. Who the fuck spread that rumor? Am I that kind of person? With a serious expression, I said, "Sorry, Director Wang. I don't date older women." Wang Fong pouted, but took the hint and left. A week later, Jiang Qingzhou resigned. The whole hospital knew about his glorious deeds and the fact that he was impotent. Of course, this had nothing to do with me. It was his dear nephew, the trainee Xiao Lu, who spread around. I merely promised that when Xiao Lu finished his training, I'd write a favorable evaluation for him. Fu Shui applied for a transfer out of the cardiac surgery department. Now, even if we run into each other at the hospital, we act like strangers, looking right through one another. One day, a month after the divorce, a woman with a 3 or 4-year-old child was sitting across from my desk. Seeing me come in, the woman quickly stood up, head lowered, and said softly, "Director Jiang, hello. I'd like to introduce our company's products to you." Damn it, a medical rep. The kind of people I hate the most. I sat down bad-temperedly, my tone icy. "Who let you into my office?" The little kid was frightened by my attitude, quickly burrowing into the woman's arms, looking at me, shrinking back. The woman turned her face sideways, stroking the child's head, soothing him. "Don't be afraid, Xiaobao. Uncle is a good person." That one sentence made me laugh. Since when the hell was I a good person? Looking at the woman's profile, I felt she looked somewhat familiar. "Lift your head." The woman carefully raised her head. Her face, marked by hardship, bore the traces of time, but couldn't completely hide her former beauty. Truly, time doesn't diminish a real beauty. Wait a minute. Holy shit, Bai Ning. You're Bai Ning. The woman froze. "You are." I took off the gold-rimmed glasses I wore for show. "Take a good look at who I am." "You're Jiang Yi." Excited, I grab her hand. Since I recently found out I was the one who deafened Jiang Qingzhou in one ear back then, I finally understood why Bai Ning had been expelled, even kicked out of her graduate program. She had taken a fall for me back then. Otherwise, I would have been the one expelled. In the hospital cafeteria, I watched the child eating, taking small bites. Senior, how have you been all these years? Fine. Pretty good. Seeing Bai Ning still looking like the same meek pushover she always was infuriated me. Tell me the truth. Seeing my stern tone, Bai Ning pouted, her eyes turning a little red. And not so good. Over the afternoon, I learned about Bai Ning's experiences over the years. It wasn't not so good. It was downright miserable. After graduating college, no major hospital would hire her. She ended up at a community health center, met a scumbag through matchmaking, and after having their child, the scumbag took advantage of her meekness. Cheating and domestic violence became routine. For the child's sake, Bai Ning endured it. But then the man started hitting the child. Bai Ning finally found her courage and chose to divorce. The end result was that she left with the child and nothing else, finding a job herself as a medical representative. To avoid being forced into compromising situations, Bai Ning always brought her child along when meeting clients, resulting in dismal sales. Looking closely at Bai Ning, I shook my head helplessly. Senior, I definitely can't give you the business. I assume you wouldn't want to get money through my connections either. We can't earn dirty money, right? Bai Ning nodded firmly. I expected this. Since recognizing me, she hadn't mentioned business again. Where are you living now? Bai Ning lowered her head. Xiao Bao and I are renting a place. Xiao Bao looked at his mother, then at me, clearly wanting to say something, but hesitating. I looked at him. Xiao Bao, what do you want to say? Xiao Bao mumbled for a while before finally speaking up. Uncle, Mommy lied. Bai Ning immediately reached out to cover Xiao Bao's mouth. I shot her a glare, and she nervously released her hand. Xiao Bao, don't be afraid. Mommy lying isn't good. Tell Uncle the truth. Mommy didn't pay the rent, and the mean uncle kicked us out. For the past 2 days, she's been taking Xiao Bao to sleep at the internet cafe. I tilted my face up, trying to stop the tears from falling. The devastating power of a child's innocent words is truly something. This kid just blurts out daggers. I pulled Bai Ning up, carried Xiao Bao, went to the underground parking lot, and got in the car. Bai Ning was hesitant, too nervous to get in. Xiao Bao, sitting in the back seat, urged her to hurry up and get in. Finally, Bai Ning had no choice but to get in the car. We returned to the small villa, the one my parents had bought for me outright when I got married. Getting out of the car, Xiao Bao looked around curiously but didn't ask anything. Inside, I sat on the sofa. Bai Ning, holding Xiao Bao's hand, stood nervously in front of me. Why don't you come work as my housekeeper? You and Xiao Bao can live here. Just help me cook and tidy up the house each day. Bai Ning waved her hand, refusing. She has some backbone. Pity you got it wrong. I'm not looking for a nanny at all. Ignoring her, I took Xiao Bao's hand and walked to the second floor. Xiao Bao, pick a room you like. Xiao Bao held my hand, looked back at his mom, bit his lip, and shook his head. Thank you, Uncle, but no thank you. Mom says we can't accept handouts from others. Looking at Bai Ning, who was still standing there with her head down, I crouched down to look Xiao Bao straight in the eye. Xiao Bao, let Uncle tell you something. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who are our own and everyone else. Of course, you can't accept handouts from others, but Uncle is one of your own. If you and Mom are happy, Uncle is happy. If you and Mom are struggling, Uncle will be sad. Do you want Uncle to be sad? Xiao Bao shook his head. When I turned back to look at Bai Ning standing in the living room, she was biting her hand hard, stopping herself from crying out loud. See? Mom is so moved by Uncle she's crying. She'll definitely agree. Surely you don't want to see Uncle and Mom cry together? Xiao Bao shook his head vigorously again. Pointing at the children's room, specially prepared during the renovations, he asked, Uncle, can I choose this room? I led Xiao Bao into the room. Of course you can, but Xiao Bao will have to sleep by himself from now on. Are you afraid? Xiao Bao isn't afraid. Sometimes when Mom is out working, Xiao Bao sleeps alone. You're only 3. How can you be so sensible? Damn it, wait. You little thing, twisting the knife again. How dare you? Don't even think about hitting me where it hurts. Xiao Bao chose his room. I carried Xiao Bao downstairs and pulled Bai Ning along. We went to the internet cafe where she was crashing grabbed her pitifully small amount of luggage, and then took them both to the mall. I bought Bai Ning a set of loungewear and a set of pajamas. Any more, and she definitely wouldn't have accepted. But I bought lots of clothes for Xiao Bao. This little guy, aside from his knack for hitting me where it hurts, has no other flaws. He's just too likable. By the time we got home, it was already evening. After the afternoons running around, Xiao Bao was exhausted. Bai Ning deftly prepared dinner. Her cooking was excellent, appealing in color, aroma, and taste. Senior, were you always this good at cooking back in university? Bai Ning, eating with her head lowered, murmured Then it's my loss, missing out on years of your cooking. Bai Ning understood my unspoken meaning. Her fair face flushed red instantly. But Xiao Bao stared at me, looking displeased. No way, he understood that too? Uncle, Mom said not to talk while eating. Why are you, a grown-up, talking during dinner? All right, Uncle has poor manners. It seems good breeding really has nothing to do with wealth. Bai Ning started to scold Xiao Bao, but I stopped her with a look. After dinner, Bai Ning bathed Xiao Bao. Using a bathtub for the first time, Xiao Bao was thrilled. I leaned against the doorframe, watching with a smile. After the bath, Bai Ning changed him into his new pajamas and put him to bed in the children's room. Xiao Bao wasn't clingy at all, nor did he ask his mom for a story. He shut his eyes tightly and fell asleep within moments. Bai Ning came out of the room and started cleaning the bathroom. I followed behind her, observing her. As she bent over, I realized Bai Ning had a truly great figure. Her loose clothes had been hiding it. I have to say, her ex-husband is a damn fool. Senior, you shouldn't criticize Xiao Bao. He wasn't wrong. Contradicting yourself like that will shatter the sense of right and wrong he's worked so hard to build. From now on, just relax and live here. Don't think about leaving a note and running off with Xiao Bao tomorrow while I'm at work. Besides, can you say anything else? Yes. I instantly lost the desire to say more. It seems you can't entirely blame her ex-husband. After my shower, I'll lay down on the bed. The sound of the shower started in the bathroom. Bai Ning must have gone in. Before long, there was a knock on my door. Come in. Bai Ning pushed the door open, came inside, then reached back and locked it. Zhang Yi, thank you for taking me and my son in. I have nothing to give you, if you don't mind. As she spoke, Bai Ning started taking off her pajamas. What could I say? I don't mind, of course I don't mind. A flicker of disappointment showed in Bai Ning's eyes as she looked at me. Still, gritting her teeth, she took off her pajamas. In my dream, I saw Bai Ning holding Xiao Bao, leaving me resolutely. It instantly startled me awake. I looked at my watch. It was only 5 in the morning. I quickly looked beside me. Thankfully, Bai Ning was still there. Last night was too tiring. She hadn't gone back to her own room. Looking at Bai Ning, her brow furrowed even in sleep, I reached out and gently stroked it until her brow relaxed. At 6 in the morning, Bai Ning woke up. Opening her eyes, she found me staring at her. She quickly ducked her head back under the covers. Honestly, a 37-year-old woman, still shy like a little girl. Don't go back to sleep. Get up and make breakfast. We have things to do later. Oh, all right. She's back to giving me one-word answers. Do you have your ID card and household register with you? Yes. Bai Ning, who had just finished dressing, looked at me, puzzled. As long as you have them. Xiao Bao is old enough for kindergarten, too. Oh, at 7 in the morning, Xiao Bao woke up by himself. No need for anyone to call him. The 3-year-old boy stood on a small stool, using the new toothbrush bought yesterday to brush his teeth and wash his face. So sensible it broke your heart. After breakfast, I took leave from Wang Fong. Then I took Bai Ning and her son out. I parked the car at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, holding our ID cards and household registers, pulling her along while holding Xiao Bao. I walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Bai Ning was utterly dumbfounded. She only snapped out of it when it was time to take the certificate photos. No, Zhang Yi, are you crazy? I'm a divorced woman with a child. How am I worthy of you? We'll be a burden to you. Hearing her say so much at once wasn't easy. Shut up. Just do as I arrange. Any more talk, and I'll smack you. That quieted Bai Ning down. She really was easily intimidated. Holding the freshly issued marriage certificate, I was grinning from ear to ear. Bai Ning was still in a fog. I held Xiao Bao and gave him a kiss. Son, call me Dad. Xiao Bao looked at Bai Ning, then looked at me, his eyes filled with fear. Clearly, the word Dad didn't represent fatherly love to him, but rather hurt. It's okay, I'll work on it. I enrolled Xiao Bao in the neighborhood kindergarten. When Bai Ning heard the price, over 30,000 yuan a year, she gasped. Before she could say she could take care of him at home herself, I directly swiped my card and paid the fee. Xiao Bao was very happy to start kindergarten. He could finally play with other children. Although he had never expressed this desire to Bai Ning, what child likes being alone? Having arranged everything, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Watching the busy Bai Ning, this finally felt like a home, full of life and warmth. A week later, when I came home, there was no Bai Ning waiting with my slippers, no Xiao Bao rushing to hug my legs. My heart went cold. Had she bolted just 1 week after getting married? I quickly went around the screen and looked into the living room. Bai Ning stood stiffly before my mom. Xiao Bao sat bolt upright on his little stool, legs together, hands on his knees. My mom stood with her arms crossed, smirking at me. My dad, sitting on the sofa, gave me a you're-on-your-own look. I pulled my mom aside and told her about the time I hit Jiang Qingzhou and caused hearing loss, how Bai Ning took the fall for me, and also about her and her son's current situation. Finally, I just slapped down the marriage certificate. Deal with it however you want. We're already married anyway. My mom held the marriage certificate, examining it. Jiang Yi, is this what you meant when you said if you ever got married again, you'd listen to me? I wore a brazen expression, like I had nothing left to lose. Ignoring my mom's murderous glare, I called Bai Ning over to cook. The girl didn't seem tired just standing there. Bai Ning agreed and quickly got to cooking. The meal left the old couple very satisfied, while our family of 3 was so on edge we couldn't taste a thing. After eating, my mom suggested taking Xiao Bao home with them for 2 days. It was the weekend, and she promised to bring him back Sunday night, guaranteeing it wouldn't interfere with his kindergarten. What could I say? What could Bai Ning say? Let them take him. Bai Ning gave Xiao Bao a few instructions, and Xiao Bao obediently went with his grandparents. Bai Ning and I were on tenterhooks at home. For 2 days, I didn't even engage in my favorite exercise, wasting this rare chance for just the 2 of us. When the old couple returned on Sunday night, they were smiling so much their eyes crinkled. My dad held Xiao Bao, planting pecks on his little cheek every now and then. My mom was also very happy. After dinner, the family of 5 sat in the living room drinking tea. My mom looked at Bai Ning, nodding continuously. What did that mean? I was getting impatient. Mom, what's your verdict? Just say it. My mom shot me a glare. Verdict? No objections. Your judgment was finally good for once. So it was settled. I let out a long sigh of relief. My mom started rambling again. I told you ages ago, if you want to know about the child, look at the mother. Xiao Bao is such a sensible, lovely child. How could his mother be anything less? It works that way too. You can judge it in reverse. When my mom took Bai Ning's hand with a look of affection and started chatting with her, I knew it was a done deal. To make up for the regret of not having had a wedding, Bai Ning and I held a grand one. Coincidentally, Bai Ning's first marriage didn't have a wedding either. We, a pair of second-time newlyweds, threw a lavish wedding. At the wedding, I saw Fu Shui. Seeing her looking utterly crestfallen, I waved her over. She walked closer. I pulled Bai Ning, in her pure white wedding dress, up to her. Recognize her? I asked Fu Shui. Then, indicating Fu Shui herself, I added pointedly, ex-wife. Fu Shui looked utterly confused. Your senior Bai? Bai Ning nodded shyly. Fu Shui's face turned livid. She never expected that after divorcing her, I would find someone who was once a mutual friend. What's with that look? Senior Bai saved your life, however you put it. You glared at her? Do you have a conscience? Fu Shui clenched her teeth and muttered thank you to Bai Ning. Then she turned back to me and spat out, You're ruthless, and turned to leave. Bai Ning tugged my arm, pouting slightly as she looked at me reproachfully. I roared with laughter and pecked her on her pouting lips. Fu Shui happened to glance back and see this, and she walked away even faster. Hey, ex-wife, it's your lifesaver's wedding. Be generous with the gift. With that shout, I made all the guests turn to look at Fu Shui, who was heading for the exit. Fu Shui broke into a run. Jiang, Bai Ning started. You're going a bit too far. Killing someone is one thing, but you don't need to disgrace them like this. Call me husband. Who husband? Oomph. No need for disgrace. If she messes with me, I'll make her head roll. I didn't invite her, yet she had the gall to show up at my wedding. She's asking for it. After the wedding, Director Wong came over, clearly having had a few drinks, his face flushed. Director Jiang, that wasn't cool. When I asked you before, you said you didn't like older women, and didn't you also say you preferred women who still had their first time? Director Wong, you missed one part. Which part? Except for Senior Bai Ning. The love I offer is blatant favoritism. If you cherish it, I give it. If you don't, I take it back. When Bai Ning took the fall for me back then, giving up everything she had, wasn't that blatant favoritism too? So, people in love give each other preferential treatment without expecting anything in return. Daddy, lots of kids at kindergarten have little brothers and sisters. Xiao Bao wants one too. Looking at Xiao Bao lying on my chest, pouting, I pecked him on the cheek. Mommy and Daddy are satisfied having just you. Mommy's getting older. Having a baby would be hard on her body. Oh, disappointment washed over Xiao Bao's face. Mom and Dad, sitting nearby, looked at Xiao Bao, their eyes filled with heartache. No child likes sharing their parents' love, especially knowing full well he wasn't his father's biological son. Wasn't he afraid that if Dad had his own biological child, he wouldn't love him as much as before? My mom picked up Xiao Bao. Don't be sad, Xiao Bao. All the children at kindergarten younger than you are your little brothers and sisters. Honey, I want one too. Looking at Bai Ning's bashful face. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go, time for action.